good person and a good father. I respect you. You're a good guy. You're the champ. I love you. Thank you, brother.
Many mixed martial arts fights in the past have used trash talk to sell the fight and get butts in the seats to watch the show, but martial arts has ancient culture and philosophy where respect for your opponent and others meant just as much as the fighting acumen. Today, we're going to be taking a look at the top 10 most respectful moments in MMA history. Number 10, Lyoto Machida vs. Mark Muniz, UFC Fight Night, Machida vs. Muniz. Fighters are told to keep fighting until the referee pulls you off, but sometimes that results in a fighter taking a few more unanswered punches than most fans would like to see, despite them clearly being out cold. You know, Dan Henderson versus Michael Bisping. This was not the case when Machida and Muniz squared off on October 26, 2013. The two friends and former training partners were clashing when Machida landed a flush head kick onto Muniz's face, which knocked him into the canvas. Machida raised his fist as if he was going to land another blow to Muniz's head, but held back when he saw his friend was clearly out cold, and thankfully the ref stepped in to stop the match. Machida has deep roots in ancient karate, where respect was ingrained into him from a young age from his karate master father.
Muniz went down, Machida went to follow up with a second punch.
Number 9, Nick Diaz lifts an emotional Anderson Silva from the canvas after UFC 183 fight. Nick Diaz and Anderson Silva are both legends in their own right, and both are known to taunt and trash talk their opponents, which many may find disrespectful. A 5-round fight at UFC 183 that featured trash talking and showboating from both sides ended in unanimous victory for Anderson Silva. Silva was very emotional and crying on the floor since it was his first fight back since Chris Weidman at UFC 168 and first win since he had lost his belt and was lifted from the floor by a comforting Diaz and embraced in the middle of the octagon in a show of understanding and respect by Diaz. Diaz showed class that was not expected from him in his brash personality. Number 6, Conor McGregor vs. Donald Cerrone, UFC 246. The man who needs no introduction, Conor McGregor is well known for his pre-fight build-up trash talking along with his cocky attitude and flamboyant style inside and out of the octagon. The Irishman has made the news quite a bit, mostly for his antics outside of the octagon, which have landed him stints in jail and cost him many of his fans. Perhaps in an effort to gain the trust and admiration back in that fan base, we saw a different Conor McGregor in the build-up to UFC 246, where he was an uncharacteristically mellow and not attacking his opponent with verbal barbs. The fight. Number 7, Anthony Johnson wraps the belt around Daniel Cormier, UFC 187. Anthony Johnson might just be the nicest person in MMA history, but he has some of the most feared KO power in both of those hooks. At UFC 187, Johnson landed a massive punch against Cormier that would have knocked out 99.999% of humans on Earth, but Cormier took it like the champion he is and was able to weather the storm, recover, and defeat Johnson in the 3rd round via rear naked choke in their championship bout. After the fight, Dana White usually wraps the belt around the fighter's waist, but in a show of class and respect, Johnson wrapped said belt around Cormier's waist. Johnson, meanwhile, praised Cormier for wrestling the hell out of him Saturday night in front of the media. In strapping the belt around Cormier's waist, Johnson went above and beyond the sportsmanship.
UFC light heavyweight champion of the world.
Number 6, Brian Stann stops short of referee stoppage. A referee in MMA is one of the most difficult jobs on the planet, and it's extremely tough to judge when a fighter is out cold unconscious at times. Brian Stann, who is a decorated Marine combat veteran, knows a thing or two about respecting said opponents. After smashing through Alessia Sakara's guard, he saw that he had him unconscious. Stan could have easily thrown a few more punches and potentially severely damaged his opponent. Luckily, the referee then realized Sakara was unconscious and stepped in. Number 5, Nick Diaz vs. Frank Shamrock, Strikeforce. In what was a lopsided bout for the Stockton Slugger that was filled with trash talk and his trademark Stockton slap, and a TKO win in the 2nd round for Diaz, he didn't want the night to be about him even after victory. Frank Shamrock, who was a pioneer in the world of MMA and far past his prime, was beaten down like no man had done to him before. Diaz walked over to him, stuck out his, and pulled Shamrock off the floor, telling him, "You are a legend, you need to stand up," while hugging, embracing, and showing respect for Shamrock in his storied career.
Great job.
All business, thank you.
Number 4, Pat Barry versus Mirko Cro Cop. When Pat Barry found out that he was going to fight the legendary Cro Cop, he could barely contain his excitement. Cro Cop is a legend, he's a living legend, Barry said in a press conference before their heavyweight scrap. He's one of my heroes, he's a guy I had a poster of, a guy I had on my top 5 list of never want to fight ever, and he's the man. The two were seen hugging, high-fiving, while also punching each other where Barry dropped Cro Cop twice, but ended with Mirko winning via rear naked choke. After the fight, Barry and Cro Cop became training partners and friends, with Barry traveling to Cro Cop's home of Croatia to train with him.
If I lose to Cro Cop Saturday night, I get to say that I'm one of the select few people who had the honor to lose to Cro Cop.
Number 3, Donald Cerrone versus Yancy Medeiros. In the build-up to the fight between Medeiros and Cerrone, there was a lot of mutual respect going on. At the weigh-ins, Medeiros gave Cerrone a gift, a special cowboy-style paniolo hat from his native Hawaii that was clearly appreciated by the popular star. Medeiros had slipped in the first round, and while Cerrone could have pounced on him, he let Yancy stand back up, at which they high-fived each other, grinned, then continued the fight. In the end, Cerrone would TKO Medeiros late in the round, and then got down on his knees and thanked his opponent for taking the fight. Number 2, Daniel Cormier thanks Alexander Gustafsson in post-fight speech. In the build-up to UFC 192, there seemed to be real bad blood for the main event. Cormier and Gustafsson squared off in what would be an absolute war and a razor-thin split decision win for Daniel Cormier. Thank you, Alexander Gustafsson. You made a better man and fighter tonight. I will forever be indebted to you and your performance tonight. Alex, thank you. Thank you, said Cormier in his post-fight speech. Both fighters left it all completely in the octagon in a Fight of the Year candidate fight and showed tremendous amounts of class, sportsmanship, and respect.
When you can make a striker start trying to wrestle you and you're the wrestler, you're doing a damn good job.
And number 1, fighter taps out in order to save opponent. In a video that went viral and made waves around the internet in 2014, Mike Pontanko was completely dominating his opponent during an amateur MMA fight. Instead of finishing the fight, Mike mercifully tapped out in order to prevent his opponent from sustaining any more physical damage. After the fight, Mike made it known that the only way to finish the fight was to continue beating his opponent to a pulp, and he didn't want to send his opponent to the hospital for no good reason, especially since neither fighter was getting paid, and there's just no point in fighting anymore. The fight was so one-sided, what's the point? In doing so, Mike won the respect of not just his opponent, but also many martial arts fans for his compassionate and respectful moment inside the cage, showing that true martial arts is about respect and honor, and for that, he is number 1 on our top 10 most respectful moments in MMA history. Honorable mention, Anthony Davis doesn't take the easy way out versus Jon Jones at UFC 235. In what was a lopsided beating and win for Jon Jones, Davis sustained an illegal knee from Jones when he was on the ground. The ref stopped the fight to give Davis a moment to recover in what could have easily resulted in a disqualification of Jones. Though Davis was dazed from the blow, he wanted to continue on the fight for the rest of the match and even in his loss, showed great respect for Jones and the sport of MMA.
I think it goes back to his fight IQ. He's smart. You know, he made a lot of good decisions in there. I hate to just say it. He's long. He's hard to get to.
And those are 10 of the most respectful moments in MMA history. What are your thoughts? Let us know in the comments down below. After liking the video, subscribing to the channel, and notifications ring that bell.
That might have been one of the best rounds in the history of the welterweight division. Wow.
Why I wear this t-shirt? I know Dustin do a lot of charity stuff.
Nurmagomedov delivers.
You're a good guy. You're the champ. I love you. Thank you, brother.